Hey guys, so today we're talking about how we find high intent leads via social media, what platforms to use, how to target people, and of course, what content to create. I'm John May, I'm the head of growth, and who better to walk us through those instructions or that knowledge than our very own marketing director, Nikki. So, Nikki, I'm a social media ignoramus, as you know. How does one use social media to generate leads? Talk to me like I'm five.
Okay, so let's take a very quick step back to 15, 20 years ago, the very birth of social media. Because when it started, it was social. It was all about
Mm,
connecting you to your immediate peers at university that branched out into friends and family. Instagram launched, and it was about this is what I'm doing today, here's my lunch. But what rose out of social media, which was just this, very organic thing where we were all just going to connect and chat, what rose out of that was people saw, an opportunity to win sales. And we had the rise of influencer culture. And for a long time, that was the Wild West. You had
mm,
no idea if you were watching someone and they had just picked up this mascara at the shop and they were
mm,
talking about it because they loved it, or if they'd been paid quite a lot of money by whoever to actually give it a positive review. You had no idea. And since
mm.
then, laws, rules, and regulations have come in. They've caught up. There used to be a time when they were like running to catch up, and social media just kept creeping ahead. But I think we're seeing that gap narrowing quite a lot now.
Mm.
So now social media is it's still called social media, it's sales media. Let's be honest. That's what it is. It's a fantastic opportunity, sure, to share with your friends and family what you've got up to on holiday, but it's also a fantastic place to source leads and as
Mm.
a user to get recommendations, to learn things, to, find out if the thing you want to buy is actually worth it. It's a fantastic sort of landscape for everyone, really.
I think that's a really, really apt term, and that's exactly what I'm trying to do as a mortgage broker. I'm trying to do some selling, I'm trying to generate some leads, but I don't know where to start. Nikki, your expertise, where does that lead you?
I mean, look, these days, as I said, back in the day, you had Facebook and Instagram, and now you've got a raft of social media platforms you can use. New ones are coming up all the time. You don't know if they're going to be the new TikTok or the next Vine. You've got no idea. So if you're trying to go this alone, and
Mhm.
work for D&D marketing, give us a call. You don't have to go this alone. But if you want to have a go at going it alone, I would recommend choosing no more than 2 to 3 platforms,
Mhm.
because otherwise you just it's so much work. You're going to really struggle otherwise. And you need to think about the audiences on those
Mm.
platforms. Now, this isn't an exact science because obviously, there's broad range of people on every platform. However, there is usually a trend in that audience. So, for example, a new social media platform, newer, TikTok, it's not quite new anymore, but it's still quite young in social media terms. Um,
Mm.
the very early days of that in particular, it was taken on by the early adopters. So people in their mid to late teens and early 20s, people who were going to pick up new social media and run with it. So that had
Mm.
quite a young audience. Facebook now, people have grown up on Facebook. You know, people in their mid teens are looking at Facebook going, oh God, my mum's on that. That's mum's social media. But we're now seeing the TikTok creep to that older audience. My mum has social media, and she uses Facebook and TikTok. So we are starting to see that creep. So I would recommend using Facebook,
Mhm.
because if you're a mortgage broker, you're looking for a more mature audience. You're more likely to find it on Facebook. The benefit of Facebook is that it is meta, so you can also cross post to Instagram as well, which again has that creep towards an older audience now, just because it's been around so long. But I would use TikTok because we are seeing more mature people. I keep wanting to say older, but we're going to say more mature. Um, you are starting to see a more mature audience on TikTok, and TikTok looks like it's not going to go the way of Vine. It looks like it's sticking around. So get in early on a newer, not new, but newer social media platform. So those are the top 3 that I would go for.
Yeah, and that makes a lot of sense as someone at my age, right? And I love the shameless plug, by the way. I think I've got to keep a bit of an eye on my job, so very good. So I'm clear around Meta, I'm clear around TikTok. I know I need to approach those platforms potentially in different ways, Nikki. So let's talk content. I can take some nice pictures of me in my office, post them, and then I'm all done. Am I right? Or
I mean, sure, if you're posting in 2014, maybe, but it's 2025. Gosh, I nearly said 2024. It's 2025, and things have moved on. We are in very much a video first space. TikTok was video only. I mean, you could put pictures up and sort of animate them to change. So like a gallery, it's not going to look very good. No one's going to stick around to look at it. Video is king. And I'm going to be really honest here. Creating content looks easy when you're a content creator. You know, the people who are out here, you know, they're influencers for makeup, travel, fashion, they put out a lot of content and it looks easy and it looks fun. But there's a lot of work involved. You have to figure out what you're saying. You have to get it lit. You have to shoot different angles. And then there's the editing process. You need to sort of think a little bit lazier. Because if you're a mortgage broker, you're not a content creator. This is not where you want to spend 20 hours of your week. So what I would recommend is trying to create content that you can use across the multiple platforms that you're using. If you're using TikTok, the really good thing about using TikTok is that it is a trend leader. And usually what you'll see is things that are trending on TikTok will eventually trend a day, 2 days, maybe up to a week later on Facebook Reels and Instagram Reels. So what is a good idea is to start with TikTok and then cross post. That is what I would say. You also need to be thinking about whether you're investing money in this or going organic.
right.
My feeling personally is you need to start organic. Don't start throwing money at it immediately because, I mean, how comfortable are you on camera?
Not bad.
So if I said to you, right, here's the phone, go away, make your first TikTok, put it on TikTok, put money behind it. No, you should, you know, if you think about it, your 10th TikTok, your 20th TikTok, you're going to be a lot better on camera. You're going to be a lot more comfortable. You're going to have been, you know, tracking how many views you've got, how many likes, how many comments. You're going to be like, okay, this one did really, really well. How is it different to this one that didn't? And you'll start to gain, just by doing things organically, you'll start to gain comfort on camera, which is really key. Nobody wants to see someone looking really awkward and uncomfortable. And you'll also start to learn about what works. Once you have that comfort, you can start to be a little bit strategic and start to put money behind certain things that you create. So I would always say start organic. You will eventually need to push money behind it because ultimately the algorithm is going to hold you back otherwise. You will need to start paying for that exposure, but do a little bit of learning first, I would recommend.
That makes sense. So as a broker and perhaps not someone who majors on content creation, I need to focus on videos, not static content, perhaps somewhat unique to each platform. Start after I'm comfortable placing spend behind some of those perhaps more performant videos, and then the organic and the inorganic leads start rolling in. Right, I'm feeling great. I've got some nice metrics. That's job done for me, I'm guessing. Yeah.
No, I wouldn't say job done. I wouldn't say you can like now be fully lazy and just sit back and watch it all roll in. Obviously, everything you create has to have a call to action. You know, you'll need to make sure you've got some sort of lead form, whether it's organic or paid for content. Always put a lead form on there because you just never know what might fly and capture people. But once you've captured people, not every single person that you've captured is going to be a hot lead ready to go. And we're called Data Never Dies because we actually genuinely believe that. We believe if you put money and investment into onboarding leads, why would you only focus on the hot leads? You know, if someone has clicked through, you're talking about mortgages. So if somebody has clicked through, someone's filled in their lead form and given you their contact details, even if they don't need a remortgage or a buy-to-let mortgage or a first-time buyer mortgage today, well, they've clicked on it for a reason. There is some interest here. So you need to start thinking about nurturing them. And this is, you know, the traditional email newsletter. You need to make sure you're popping up really regularly in their inbox. Make sure you have something to say. It doesn't have to
obviously.
This is the thing. You don't have to just spam people daily or whatever. If you want to do just every other week email and you want to make sure that the content in that email is, you know, really good news, really good opinion pieces, adding value, people start to associate you as a voice of, you know, professional expertise. So when the time comes, why wouldn't they reach out to you? Because you've already established that relationship. When you're creating content as well, you need to be talking about a wide variety of content. So you can't just be talking about things that are pertinent to hot leads. You want to be talking a little bit, you know, about the, you know, mortgage landscape as a whole. What does the what does the cost of living crisis mean for you? You know, if your remortgage is in 6 months, you know, is it going to be the same as it might look today? You want to be thinking kind of long-term content as well, because that way you actually get leads that remain interested, even if they're not immediately hot, and you will invest in people over a longer period of time.
Yeah, I think that's a really, really good point. And I've now got a good overview as to perhaps sort of what I should do and how I should approach it. That's just useful. Thank you.
But, you know, you talk to brokers all the time. How many are actually doing this?
That's a really good point. I think there's a natural reticence towards this type of activity. You phrased it very well yourself. A lot of our broker partners are brokers, right? They're not necessarily content creators. And I think there's that challenge initially of being on camera, of being vulnerable. But once you do, there's rewards to be had, right? Now, how many are doing it? It's increasing. It's increasing slowly. You look at what L&C are doing, for example, perhaps one of the bigger brokers, and it plays really well. And a lot of the bigger players are now there. And there's a small but subtle increase in the smaller brokers also doing it. So that means it's becoming somewhat of a more competitive marketplace. Hence, you need the spend, as you mentioned, Nikki. Hence, you need the evergreen content, the content that's not just, I want high value leads or hot leads. It's content about, as exactly what you said, so the cost of living crisis or whatever it happens to be, but it's happening more and more. And I'm almost seeing at this point, you sort of can't afford not to do this type of work, because as a client, you sort of expect that presence of your broker.
Yeah, I mean, we talked in our last episode, didn't we, about you know, the fact that people are looking for a good price, but they're also looking for a good relationship. And this is
100%.
a lot of the time, this is how relationships start. They have that kind of parasocial moment before they actually ring you up and connect. And you mentioned L&C there, and obviously they're a huge brokerage. They've got a team doing this. And as 100%. A small broker, you're looking at that and going, well, I can't afford like a 5-person marketing and content team. But that, you know, there is a way of doing it. You can give us a call and we'll work with you, for example, or, you know, you can give it a go yourself. You know, these are the options available to you. But, you know, speaking of what we do, we've built a huge community of landlords. I mean, we've got like 77,000 that we talk to on a regular basis, and we do work with broker clients of varying sizes. And when you've spoken to them, what has been their feedback about the process?
Second plug, by the way, so you really are after my job. I'm making a note of them. Their feedback on our process is we're fundamentally changing the game, in short. So we major on intent, right? Now you can have as many pieces of data, you can have a great data ingress rate, but if the pickup rate isn't there, i.e. if the intent isn't there to start off with, which leads into the pickup rate, means you're not going to get the conversions and you're not going to get the value out of that piece of data that you require. So what we specialize in doing is creating promotional content, creating educational content that leads to intent, that educates that individual on why they need to use us, or more pertinently, our brokers. And we tee up that individual ready for that conversation. So when they speak to one of our brokers, the hard work's already done. The relationship's already been built. They know John at D&D, or more likely they know Nikki at D&D, and we're the
people. You know, I send out emails and people will reply with their thoughts on the opinion pieces that we've sent out.
And that's the point. We try and, I don't want to sound too sort of broad here, but we try and place ourselves as the industry experts, the people in the know, and we get our community come to us to ask who we recommend they go and speak to. And that's really where we differentiate ourselves from some of the other players on real high intent individuals who will, number one, pick up the phone, number two, will have a conversation with you, and number three, looking for that relationship piece, which ultimately converts. And that's why we see our conversion rate almost double our closest competitor, and that's visible in many of our broker partners. And that's what makes us proud, and that's what we do as an organization, and that's what we bring to our broker community.
And you've been on the phone, you do, you know, some test calls, and do you find that the way we've built those relationships with those leads, do you find it's a different experience having that conversation with people?
100%. I've done sales jobs, phone jobs, of all types of volition over the last 10 years. And what's really unique about these individuals that I speak to, it's, I'm so glad you've called me, right? And as a broker, I presume, but certainly as a salesperson, that's like music to my ears. That gives me, or puts me in the...
I get called up from my mobile phone network. I have never, ever said, I'm glad you've called me. I'm trying to get off the phone as quickly as possible, usually.
100%. 100%. And I've had that for many, 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 many years, right? But it's fundamentally different, these individuals that I'm speaking to. It's almost a bit like, whoa, what do I do from this point? But it's quite a, how do I phrase this? It's a really engaging feeling when someone wants to have a conversation with you. And I'm hearing portfolio landlords that are seeking our guidance. I'm hearing individuals with commercial properties with bridging loan requirements and really complex financial asks come to us as the thought leader on who to go and speak to. And that doesn't happen. I assure you, as somebody who spent thousands of hours on the phone over my career, it just doesn't happen. But that's why we're really proud of the work that we do. That's why we bring this to market, and we spend time vetting our broker partners to make sure they're of the requisite quality to take these leads and action upon these leads. And that's why our conversion rate, I'm very pleased to report, I'm very proud to share, outstrips our competitors by a really long way, to be quite honest with you.
Yeah, well, there you go. You've got a in, so that's fine.
Indeed, I think we're there or thereabouts on time. The whole point of this was social media. How do I use it to generate leads? So Nikki, I'll hand over to you to close your 3 takeaways, if you would.
Okay, number 1, frequency. You need to be committing yourself to, 2 to 3 times a week. Authenticity. Don't try and pretend to be someone else on camera. Find your own comfort levels and be yourself, because that's who ultimately they're going to get on the phone. Commit. You need to commit. You can't decide after a month or 2 months, oh, I'm not seeing a huge amount of results from this. Really takes time. There's so much out there. You need to be consistent in order to rise to the top. Alternatively, you can just give John a call and we can help you out with it.
And that's plug number 3. That's the hat trick. Congratulations. Well, we're 3 minutes over. Thank you for talking me through that, Nikki. I appreciate it. And as Nikki mentioned, come and give us a call. Come and look for our guidance, and we'll support you in getting you to where you need to go. Thanks for your time, mate.
See you soon. Bye.
See you soon.